Hey everyone, welcome to my chapter 756 review of One Piece. And before I start, let me just go off the record of saying that this week's chapter of One Piece was a lot better than last week's. Definitely a ton better. Well, it wasn't like amazing, but let's just say that it kind of made last week's chapter look like a joke. So really, three main parts to this episode. Um, Two really good setup fights, which honestly, one of them I saw coming, or we pretty much can kind of see coming, and the other one I didn't expect at all, but I'll get into that in a second. The one other thing I want to discuss in the chapter, and it was pretty much the start of the chapter, was the whole bit with Usopp and Violet. Now, if you remember Violet's powers, she's able to observe anyone or anything in her surrounding area in like, I forgot the exact range, but it was something crazy like a 2,000 mile radius or 1,000 mile radius, something absolutely absurd. Um, so, so in this chapter, she's hanging out with Usopp. They're looking for Man Cherie, this mysterious girl that we're all trying to find out about, who at this point they still haven't specified what her powers are, but I'm really inclined to believe that her powers have something to do with the production of the Smile Factory Devil Fruits. It just kind of makes sense to the overall arc, and I wouldn't really see why they would be protecting her so much if it wasn't something related to that. So, anyways, Usopp and Robin are looking for this girl, and they have a little conversation. And I said Usopp and Robin, Jesus Christ, Usopp and Violet. And Violet mentions to Usopp that she found the girl, she's located the girl using her powers, and that she's inside in like some room, trapped or held away, kept away in some room. And then they go into the whole conversation that um, that Violet pretty much mentions that she's able to observe even indoors and not just surrounding areas outdoors. So that was kind of an interesting tidbit. And then Usopp cracked a little joke and said, "Could you imagine what Sanji would do if he had these powers?" You know, referring to the fact that he's perverted. And please, can we get some character growth for Sanji? Do we have to pick on him all the time? I mean, he's already gotten his ass kicked a couple times this chapter. Well, not a, yeah, well, not a couple, once, yeah, a couple times this chapter, not this chapter. Jesus, this arc. I apologize. Um, so give Sanji some love, please. So that was about it. They mentioned that whole bit that she's able to locate people even indoors. So I found that really interesting. Now, the two parts that I think made the chapter were the two setup fights, or the two setup things they did, which they're setting up two fights. One of these fights we already expected. I'll get to that in 1 second because I have to kind of set that up. So, the first fight that they are setting up is going to be what looks like Robin and Bartholomew versus Gladius. Now, this is kind of interesting because if you remember, Robin and Bartholomew were flying down on the Tontadas, and in this episode, Gladius intercepts them and pretty much knocks Robin and Bartholomew all the way down, while Rebecca made it through and continues on with her little journey there. Um, and not to mention that she still has Law's handcuffs to his Law's that she has Law's key, or the key to Law's handcuffs. So boy, did that work out. Not really. Um, so, anyways, Gladius knocks him down, and Robin and Bartholomew end up landing all the way down next to Luffy. Luckily, Robin brings him down safely with her wings of justice, or whatever you want to call it. Um, so they land at the bottom, and then Gladius comes after them, and Luffy and everyone is there at this point, still trying to head for Flamingo. So everyone's about to take on Gladius, and then uh, um, Jesus, why am I having such a brain fart today? Bartholomew and Robin tell Luffy and the rest of them, we got this under control. Continue on with keep going after Flamingo. So it looks like they're setting up Robin and Bartholomew versus Gladius, which I honestly did not expect at all. Completely different fight. You know, I'm a little iffy on it because I really, really want to see Robin get a little time. Like she deserves a one-on-one fight, and she hasn't gotten it. But I will settle for this. It could end up being a pretty epic fight, so we'll see how that goes. And could you imagine if Gladius actually ends up hurting Robin? Bartholomew's gonna be pissed because he's the biggest Straw Hats fanboy I've ever seen. So I'm curious to see how that fight goes. And then the other setup fight for this chapter was one that we kind of saw coming for a little while now, and that is Rebecca versus Diamante. Now, personally, I don't think this fight is going to last very long. Obviously, there is an animosity between Rebecca and Diamante because if you remember the backstory with the revelation that Diamante was the one that killed Rebecca's mother. So I hope they do Rebecca a little justice in this fight, but personally, I don't think Rebecca is going to be the one to take out Diamante, and I think ultimately Kairos is going to get involved, and he's going to be the one to take out Diamante. So I hope I'm wrong. I'm a Rebecca fan. I am. I wasn't in the beginning of this arc. I wasn't feeling her too much, but they've actually got me to like her a bit in the anime. So I am a Rebecca fan, and I want her to kick Diamante's ass. Sadly, I don't think that's going to happen. So those are the two best little bits of the chapter. There were a couple little other things going on here and there with Kanjuro and whatnot, but nothing too relevant. So overall, it was a pretty solid chapter. Not amazing, but hands down, at least twice the rating from last week's disaster. So I would give this chapter I don't want to give 6.5 out of 10 is fair. So 6.5 out of 10, a little better, a lot better, and let's keep this pace up. You now have, come on, One Piece. You now have 4 fights you can go to, 4 or 5. I don't even know. I've lost count. You have like 4 or 5 fights you can go to, and not to mention you still have Law's backstory. So we'll see what happens next time. I hope you guys enjoyed this chapter review, and I will see you later.